Am I still on? Yeah. Welcome. In this video, what we're going to break down is how to train and the importance of training survival skills. Have you ever gone out into the bush, right, into the woods? You had all the gear that you could possibly want, all the gear that you've seen a YouTuber use, and you threw it in your pack, ran out into the woods, and thought, okay, I'm here. What do I do? In today's video, we're going to go over how to start practicing survival skills. Okay, so if you're hiking, backpacking, camping, whatever you're doing, that in itself is surviving. Okay, you're trying to keep your body temperature at 98.6, since you've been doing since you were born, and you're also trying to not die of thirst. You're trying to not die of hunger, which that'll be the last thing we talk about. Not die by other people or that are weirdos and cougars, panthers, lions if you are in the safari, bears, stuff like that. Okay, so let's go over survival skills. The first thing we'll start with is shelter. The first thing you want to make sure whatever activity that you're trying to get into is your clothing. Okay, you want to be layered to where you're cold to comfortably cool. You want the clothing to help wick away the moisture from your body, which is going to be sweat. All right, with the outside moisture, rain, snow, you want a shell that prevents any of that moisture to getting into your clothing or onto your skin. Mid section, keeping it simple, you go with an insulated layer. That could be fleece or a puffy jacket, and puffy pants, or in line with fleece pant. That's to insulate and keep you warm. Okay, so that's your first shelter when it comes to being outdoors. All right, once you find a spot where you're going to settle down or relax for a little bit before you head back to camp or before you head home or head back to the car, that spot, you want to make sure that it does not collect moisture if it were to rain hard. And what I mean by that is when you set up a tarp, when you set up a lean-to, whatever you're going to put up, whatever configuration that you're going to put up, you want to make sure that whenever that water hits on that tarp or poncho and it leaks off to the side, you want to make sure that it hits the ground, it either stays and it gets soaked by the dirt, pine needles and all that, or you want to make sure that if there is runoff, you want it to be away from where you're going to lay down, where you're going to sit. Okay, so you want to watch out for hills, any slopes like this. That means that even if no rain hits your tarp, it's still going to hit the ground. And if it rains extremely hard that night or that day, there's going to be a lot of runoff into where you're going to be bedded. As you can see, there's a hill right here. Up a ranger diamond. I've showed this before. I don't need to make it hard. So you're going to take the hood. You got the little button on the back right here that pulls that down. Okay. Fold it into itself and grab the loose cordage and wrap around that, throw a knot in it, any kind of knot. Simple overhand. That's enough tension with that little pulley system for the cordage. That's enough. It's not going to come undone. If you're wanting to get started into survival skills, the best thing that I could tell you is want to get into situations, safe situations. What I mean by that is have precautions and things that you have in check, maybe staying close to your vehicle, not going too far, and practice these skills. Everything's already wet before I got here. How can I make the inside comfortable if I don't have a mat? If I don't have a trash bag to put debris in? How can I make that comfortable? Again, my layers, right? I want the outer shell to be the one that doesn't soak up moisture in the clothing. Okay, it repels it. Now, laying on it, I'm not going to lay on the cold ground, but I can get a whole bunch of debris, pine straw, leaves, throw that inside. That creates a bed. I'm elevated off the ground. The leaves and the pine needles are still wet, but with my body heat, that will dry out eventually, and it won't be fun. So sitting on my pack, it's not very comfortable, but I'm dry. And this is intended to lay down and is small for a reason, to capture heat. The ground isn't terribly wet because of all the trees above us, the pine trees. But I can lay in here comfortably. I can even lower it too to where I have more length, less height, and I'll be pretty satisfied, pretty comfortable. You don't have to go to what I did, okay? If you're going out wanting to learn how to practice survival skills without going out into nature and doing something and then coming back to the house or whatever and feeling unfulfilled, like you didn't do quite much, or you feel like you didn't really do anything really that wasn't difficult. Now, it doesn't have to be difficult, but the difficulty is just your environment, okay? What's around you, what you have access to, and then the temperature, how cold it is, how hot it is. And then with temperature also, that includes animals for food. How are you going to capture something if it's dead of winter, middle of winter, and everything's not coming out that much? Everything's settled down, resting, waiting for it to warm up a little bit to come out. So how are you going to get food, right? So with this shelter, you don't have to copy what I've done, but if you want to learn how to train, come out into a situation like this, moderate light rain or no rain, just cold, set up your shelter, right? Hike in a good 5 minutes, 10 minutes, right? To an area close to your vehicle or something, or close to your house where you're allowed to go. Hike in, set up your camp. Next thing that we need to do when we set up our camp is what's next in a survival situation or an actual survival situation. And this situation is not survival, but we're training for it, okay? The next thing is water, okay? You go 3 hours, roughly 3 hours with being exposed to the elements, okay, if it's severe. Next thing I want to work on is water. Okay, we have no water, or we have a little bit of water, but we're going to be out here for a while. Treat it as that. You want to prolong what you already have so you don't have to go out and waste more energy to get something if you find yourself in a different environment. Okay, think with that kind of mindset when you're training. So in this situation, I'm going to make it hard on myself, and I'm going to dump the water that I already have, and I'm going to get more water. So when it comes to water, I keep it simple, okay? I'm going to just shoot it straight with you, keep it straight, give you information that I know. I don't really like to use plastic bottles or the plastic containers, like the bags that can roll up, because it's plastic. Anything that's plastic, your food, whatever, anything that's inside a plastic container, over time with heat exposed to that plastic, those particles fall into your water or onto your food, and they're very hard to see, microscopic. So if you don't rinse off your food, even if you do, you're still going to get a lot of that into your system, right? If you get chicken in the plastic container, that's heat, right? That's in that plastic container from Walmart, and that's already melting onto your chicken, or the particles are falling off onto your chicken. That black the white top and the black under, the whole thing's plastic, and you don't rinse off your chicken. You just throw it in the microwave, it gets cold, and the microwave is also radiation. Okay, so it's just bad for you. Same thing with your water. You can't rinse off your water. So I like to keep it basic in the old ways. All right. I do have a life straw as well. I also don't like these, even though you can tie it to a plastic bottle or a plastic bag and you can drink it just like that. If it's a life or death situation and I'm on a mission that I'm going to be like mountaineering or something, and I don't have a lot of time to process water, then yes, I would probably take it because it saves me time. I don't like these because when I drank from this, and I bought this new, when I drank from it for the first time, I blew into it, did everything to clean it out and all that stuff that you're supposed to do. But when I started drinking from it, I gave it a weird taste. And ever since, it still gives a weird taste, and I clean it like I'm supposed to, do everything that I'm supposed to do. So I don't like these, but they are useful in a situation to where you don't have no choice. It don't matter what you like. You have to drink something or you're going to die. You got about 72 hours to reset that clock. Okay. So what I go with is a canteen, a metal canteen. I got this from a pawn shop. All right. Traded my bow for it, and it was about $20 for this and the little sack that it goes into. And I also like a pot. This is a Stanley cup, I believe. Got it from Walmart. This little top half works great as a container. Okay. And it's also for coffee. So I'll put a lot of instant stuff in here. That's also in plastic containers too. All right. So, and it's very hard to find anything that's natural. So, but this is what I usually do when it comes to drinking water. I have water right now. So I'm going to drink whatever I need to because I have a sore throat. And talking too much is hurting. And then the rest of it, I'm going to pour out. Okay, now we got to find water. So both of these act as water catchment. I can, without having to boil anything, have two containers that I can put next to a tree that's dripping some water, or on a branch, just set it like that, and the water drops off into it slowly, as you just seen right here. Okay. But here's the thing, it's not raining too hard, and it's going to take a long time just to get a sip, 2 sips maybe, 4 sips if I have both of these working at the same time. It's going to take a long time. And when it's pouring down rain, I don't think I want to be up doing anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to boil water. I can get a fire started, but I don't want to deal with it. It's going to take a while. Okay, so the next thing that I like to do when it comes to water, potable aqua tablets, germicidal tablets. I think that's the correct word. I don't know. I like to use these because this is 1 liter and it's 2 tablets per liter, and this is 1 liter. And I've used these many times, and I've never gotten sick or anything like that, and they work great. And I have 2 of these, and when I say many times, the total times that I've used it is about 7 times, I think. I'm not sure. I've gone to the mountains a lot for like camping and stuff like that. And back then when I used to go, I usually try to go with limited stuff and just obviously bring food. And whatever I brought, if I'm going to stay out there for an extended period of time, if I get hungry, I have to catch fish. I use them about 7 times for when I do stuff like that. I don't do it as much. Maybe I should get back into it. What we're going to do is we're going to head down this hill, and there's a small stream that is down there, and all water travels downward. Okay, so if you don't even know, and I didn't know there was water here until I walked down there, and then I found water. And that was a long time ago. So that's how I know there's a little water down here. Here's a common misconception of water. It really doesn't matter if it's, well, let me rephrase that. It does matter if it's moving. Okay, you don't want to get water from a pond. But what I'm talking about is a stream or a river. It does not matter if it's moving really fast over rocks and fall. It don't matter if there's rocks or not. What matters, well, let me rephrase that, because the reason why they say that is because they see those rain catchers, right? But inside those rain catchers, there's probably charcoal, sand, pebbles, stuff like that, and there's different layers, and they even have like a rack that catches like leaves and stuff like that, pine needles, droppings from birds, maybe animal crap. So that's why they think, or some people think, this isn't a diss, but some people do think that, I've even heard it before too. I believe it as well. Like, oh yeah, when you see a waterfall, get water from there because the rocks filter a lot of that water clean. And with sediment, stuff like that, yes, right? It'll be filtered. It won't be purified, okay? So anywhere you can get water on a stream, river, lake. I've never drunk water from a pond, and I don't plan on doing so. And I want to point my lid, the opening, downward, the current going down. So anything that is coming from here, I don't want to get like sediment, small leaves and stuff like that in my water. I want to try not to disturb the ground as much as possible, because I want to avoid, again, the leaves, all that stuff. So I got my water. We're about to head up. But like I was saying, it's a common misconception of the rocks purified water. It doesn't. It just gets a lot of it may filter it, maybe in a stream. But you have to think about, again, I just walked down here. First spot that I've seen, didn't see a lot of sign of animals. A lot of leaves on the ground, but I'm not going to look for it. I look to my left or to my right, upstream or downstream. If that So I finally got it going pretty good. I ended up using all the oak that I had in my can, my little Altoids can. And sometimes that's how it is, man. So the reason why I want to save food for last is because if you don't have, even if you're on land, you have to get a permit to trap animals and stuff like that. It's a whole thing I don't want to get into. But even if you're on public land, you got to get licensed. Some areas you can't trap, stuff like that. It sucks, but it is what it is. It is what it is. With food, just bring your own food. Make sure that you bring, if you think you're going to be out for 3 days, bring 3 days and then bring maybe 2 days extra. Another thing too, cookware. How are you going to cook your food? I got a pot that I can cook my rice in, or any kind of soup, or you can get Mountain House meals, stuff like that. Granola bars, crackers, easy things, ramen, easy things to cook. May not be the healthiest, but calories, at least you have calories. You can go quite a long time without eating. The longest I've gone on a trip was only catch what I can eat, that I've done multiple times. The longest one that I've done without eating is 3 days. And after a while, like the first day that you don't eat, you're hungry, but like as long as you're doing stuff and you're drinking water, you don't really feel it that bad. Like it's actually good and beneficial to fast. Most people think that that's a bad thing. You gotta eat 3 times a day. No, one meal a day is actually pretty good, and it's gonna be a big meal. And go 3 days without eating, and then eat another meal. That's if you're gonna get into like the fasting stuff, like how like biblical, like that whole thing. Um, Not only does it add like spiritual benefits and stuff like that, but it does reset your system, your cells. It makes them stronger. Have something stuck in your mouth all the time. You don't need sweets, stuff like that. And in the long run, it helps you, it benefits you. As you can see, it's pouring down. I'm in the open. I got all my clothing on. I'm good. I'm gonna cover my head. I'm good. I feel fine. I got my water. I'm gonna drink it right now. Before you drink it, remember we have those tablets in there. I had to dip the opening into the water. So before I drink any of that, I want to put the lid back on loosely and just let that water fill with the iodine. So I put my lips on it. If there is any, pathogen or whatever, they're dead. The iodine. Okay. So I got my water. I got a fire. I have shelter. That's the video. If you want to learn how to train, get out. It sucks. It's not fun, but it's gonna help you. If you were in an actual situation, you could do all these things in a bad environment and be somewhat comfortable. I'll see y'all in the next video.